welcome to the first episode of It's a Jungle Out There. Today in the podcast we've got Army veteran Ashley Greener. Ashley spent 11 years in the British Army, serving in operational deployments to Afghanistan, also deploying to Kenya, Cyprus and overseas in Holland. Welcome to the podcast, Ashley.
Oh, thank you for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure.
So,
being here in my room.
His room. So a lot of questions come in when people realise that you were a guest on the podcast, and one, Benjamin Ashall, asked me to ask you, do you know what CPR stands for?
Unfortunately, yeah, I do.
Tell us, we're listening.
Pulmonary resuscitation.
What was the first word?
I can't actually pronounce
Ben,
the
there's your answer. Anyway, we'll move on for that point. Ashley, what made you join the army?
Just experiencing cadets when I was younger. Me and a group of my mates thought it would be a good laugh to go and take the mick out one of the lads whose girlfriend was there. And I enjoyed it that much on my first day. I ended up staying there for 2 years, and I did really want to join the army. Fortunately, we won't sign my paperwork. So, yeah, from there, I just experienced life.
What did you do for a job when you left school?
So I worked in a butcher's at first in town, called Gabbett's Farm. And I worked there for a while. But I worked there when I was in school as well, so it's like a weekend job. And
so you're dodgy?
Got a few people a job there, one like being my best mate and a few others. And then from there I moved to Manchester for a while to work with my dad.
What was that doing?
Window fitting. I used to fit double glazing.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was alright. It's a bit stressful working for your father, like, when you're like 16, 17 and he's having you walking up 3-tier ladders with like steel girders over your shoulder, telling you to like man up and hold it while he drills it still.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what age were you then when you decided to go to the careers office?
I think I was 21. Yeah, 21, because it was with my kid's mum at the time. Well, unfortunately we split up and I got made redundant from my job. So I just thought, you know what, I need to do something with my life. I don't want to grow up in and out of jobs and not being a good father to my kids. Well, at the time, to my eldest Theo. So when we split up, I spoke with my dad, moved back in with my dad, and he helped me train, got my life, like all my admin and that in order.
Can you remember doing something called the BAB test when you went to the careers office?
Yeah.
So
the computer course, isn't it?
So for the viewers, a BAB test is something that you need to take part in before joining the military, and it's simple stuff like John runs faster than Harry, who's fastest. So it's something you know, but at the heat of the moment it can be quite confusing. And by doing that, you get graded, and then they give you a list of jobs and what you can actually apply for to do in the army, and you can pick three. What was your three choices you went for?
Well, I did want to go originally infantry when I first wanted to join the army, which my mum wouldn't allow me. So this time when I went, because the first time I did that BAB test, the careers officers were like, look, you scored a high score, you can do better than the infantry, there's a lot of other jobs to do. I sat there and picked a few, but I said my mum wouldn't let me join, so this time I had a good think about it. And my first choice was gunner AS90, then engineers, and it was going to be infantry. But I had a mate at the time who was a medic in the army who just everything.
Is that what made you pick medic?
Yeah, because I didn't want to go infantry, but I thought that was the only choice I could do. I thought that was just, I think any young kid thought, you know what, just join the army in infantry, just go, because that's all you hear about, is going, shooting, killing people and that. But then, when he came out, I spoke to him. He was show me a lot of videos and a lot of pictures of courses and everything he does. And I thought, he said, if you can handle blood and stuff like that, you'll be fine. I just thought, yeah.
Have you ever experienced handling blood prior to that?
No, not to be honest. Nothing like that serious. Just nothing to what anything compares to what you're about to sign up for.
Yeah. So you then go through a process and you get a date to start basic training. Where was your basic training, and how was that?
Basic training was Pirbright. Yeah, I was nervous because I was living with my dad again in Manchester, and I was going from Manchester to Manchester Piccadilly train station, and there was quite a few waiting at the train, and I got talking to one lad. But I remember in your brief pack you get, it's because you have your medical and everything. It's like when you do your 2-day selection, don't have anything fizzy, drink or anything like that, because it shows up as heart murmurs and all that. And this one lad that I got really close to, when we got there after a couple of weeks, he got discharged because he was just eating Mars bars and drinking chocolate. I must have been that worried, his sugar levels, he was just eating it. So when he got there, we had the medical and everything, he was discharged. So I'm like, I know no one else here now. I'm away from home. I've got an ex-partner and a kid, so I've got my dad that's rooting for me, and I'm like, wow, this is something else. Yeah.
Did you think basic training was going to be as difficult as what you expected?
I thought it was going to be harder because growing up, my best mate Lance and my mum, she'll tell you, I hated being told what to do. Someone told me something to do, like, no. Do it my way, I'll do it. It's respectful, but I just hated being told what to do. So they always said, I'll never make it. You'll struggle. If you make it, then... My mum obviously wanted me to make it. She was worried. She didn't want me to be in the army anyway, because obviously at the time we joined, we were in a war. But it made me... I was a lot more... I was worried about it, because of just obviously my best mate at the time, he was infantry, he's already qualified, he's done tours, and he's like, you're never going to get past basic training. So I'm like, shit, that's my best mate saying it.
Did you ever struggle with anything in basic training?
To be honest, I didn't. I thought the tabs were a bit of a kick in the teeth because
just
you don't really, it's because you don't, when you train to get in the army. I did a lot of training with my dad and one of my mates who was ex-army. He was a fitness freak at the time. So I used to go swimming and running. My dad would take me out in the car and say, right, keep up with me. And have me sprinting, and they'd be like, you're too slow, it's 40 minutes, 40. I'm like, oh my God. So when I turned up to basic training and you do like your first mile and a half, came in at 10.5 minutes, I'm like, it was only 2 weeks ago, I was running like 13-40 minutes. And then, from there, just my fitness, I really enjoyed it, mate.
So, you pass out at basic training, you go into phase 2, which is where you become to learn to be a medic.
Yeah.
Where was your phase 2?
KL Barracks in Aldershot.
And how did you find that?
Hard. Yeah.
Challenging?
Yeah, definitely. Just the first day as well, when you have your induction day and you're sat in that theatre hall. And Kieran Miles, I remember, because we both did like joinery work, and we both sat there, and you've got the education team going through the spiel and breaking the course down to, you're going to learn the anatomy and physiology of the human body in 2 weeks and have an exam, and then the musculoskeletal system, and then you've got environmental health. And I just remember looking at him like I'm looking at you now, we both just went, is it too late to join the RLC? Because I'd done nothing medical at the time. My kid's mum, she was a healthcare assistant, and her mum was an anaesthetist. So I've heard of medical stuff and stories and that, but nothing. It was just. Did you
struggle with anything?
you know quite well I did, don't you?
The viewers don't.
Infantry side of it and the military skills and that, no. Academically wise, I'm not the best academically. I'm more hands-on. I've always been a more hands-on approach. Never. It's only when you get to like key about when you do your medicals, because you need your level 2 maths and English and that to progress your career.
Or you could just do them at school and pass your exams. You don't need to do your level 2.
You can know all about that. How long does it take you to do yours?
Look, this isn't all about me, it's about you.
Yeah, I did. Failed, I think, nearly every written exam we had going. But when you fail, it's like, I think the pass mark was, 75 or 85%? Some of it was multiple choice, some of it was like essay writing. And I think sometimes I think it's the second musculoskeletal. I think I got like 45%. And I remember him saying, look, you failed another one. I'm like, but yeah, I'm getting 100% on my practicals, smashing my practicals, no problem.
And we both know that practical with a patient is a lot more than what you can put in paper. It's how you do it. How you save somebody's life is a lot more important than how writing down what you've done to save somebody's life. So, did you ever get backclassed? For failing tests?
Yeah, one. See, go back to the last question you asked with the courses. Yeah, once you fail, you get told you've got 24 hours to resit that exam. And if you fail at the second time, then you get back coursed. And if you fail that test again, then you're out the army. So the other two, it was only my last exam in single service that I failed. So all my other medical tests, I passed. On the resit, I was getting 80. I think the highest one I got was 98. 24 hours later. But I think that was what was the last exam? I think that was the admin physiology of the human body, and at that point I thought, you know what, I can't do it. I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I can't keep doing this, keep failing. I'm like, nah. And I was so close to transferring, and there's a girl that, we were really close with. We used to do oral vision in the bar and that. She said, just give it this last one, and if you fail, then yeah. So I thought, you know what I did, and that's the one I got 98% on. But it's when you pass all that and you do your placements, so you do 6 weeks in a hospital or a medical centre, and you've got to go by a book and see patients, how to use a urine testing sample, taking basic obs. That's 6 weeks. Gone through all that, and it was the last exam, single service, where you go on to, I think it's 6 weeks in it, or was it 8 weeks?
7? Is it no 7?
It 7.
7.
It's
could be
where
wrong.
You combine your medical skills with your military skills. So you go on exercise and you'll get mass casualties and everything. But before that, you have a written exam. It's a pointless written exam. Like, how many pegs go with a tent? And unfortunately, that's what I failed on. I didn't know how many pegs went with an 18 by 24 tent, and unfortunately, I got back coursed.
And when you get back coursed, what happened? Who did you meet when you get back coursed?
Wow, well, yeah. Joe, I remember sitting there. No, because I first met you, you come to my course, because you was 116 and I was 118. And you come to my course the first time, and I remember sitting at the back of the class, and he came in, sat at the front. No one knew who he was. He was quite quiet at first, and I remember the teacher going out the class. Well, that was it. He went so quiet. As soon as that teacher left that classroom, that was it. That was the Joe that I just looked and thought, what an absolute wanker. I'm struggling my ass off here, and we've got this loom pot that's just turned up and just starts, hey, chicken, woo, yee, going off, just do whatever, and not everyone liked him. And I think it was, we didn't really speak on that one, did we? And then I think unfortunately something else happened. You've gone, and then I've got back course, and then it was 119, and turned up. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I couldn't stand him. But literally, just from the minute we started chatting, we just hit it off like the house.
My first ever encounter with you was you were playing casualty for a medical scenario we were doing.
That was...
And you just love to get your taff bath because you're this ripped body, the six pack. Every time it's like, I'll be casual to take my taff off. You just love the attention.
Yes, I did.
So that, and I was like, who does this guy think he is? So that was my first time ever meeting you, was when I was treating you, and I'm like, trying to check your abdomen, I thought, this was fucking ripped to fuck this thing, man. But then, after that, we both passed out and we moved on to our very first posting.
Yeah.
What was your three choices and where did you want to go?
Well, by the time I finished phase 2, I got with after basic training, during basic training I got back with the kid's mum, and then when I passed phase 2, we already had another child, so we had 2, so I was more set, like, I want to go to Preston, because I knew there was a barracks in Preston, and I got told, I think it was single service, got told, well, Preston's not opening, it's becoming a museum, you'll have to pick other choices, and I'm like, I wanted to go to Germany, because all my mates were going to Germany, but I'm like, I've got kids, I can't go over there, because I know I'll just rip the absolute piss out of it, and just never see my kids. So I wouldn't have a family because I'll be over there shagging. I think the closest to Preston was Catterick. I think I picked Catterick, and I think you could still put Preston down, but you weren't able to get it. So I put Preston down, and I think it was the week before we were passing out. They said, "Oh, Preston's reopening." I'm like, "Oh, you what?" And yeah, as soon as I found out we're going Preston, as soon as I found out we're going Preston, I was just like, well, I was buzzing, and then you were going Preston. But it's not that, it was the final exercise, mate, when we found out we passed, and you took the ripping pick. No, we was on stag together, weren't we?
No, and on the comms.
And it was, what's his name, the single service instructor, the Welsh one.
Aye, we can't mention names.
Well, he told us, how do you feel that you passed? Because I seriously thought I failed my practical exam for the first time ever practical exam.
And it was me that told you you'd passed, and you're like, you're fucking talking shite, don't wind them up, don't wind them up. Like,
I honestly thought, because, like Joe said, in the course I thought I was Jack the Lad, and the ripped body, everyone just thought, I was cocky as anything. Everyone did like me, because I just had no fear, and some of the instructors didn't like me.
We all liked me.
Meaning the section, like the instructor, the main instructor, and he was doing my medical scenario, and he just threw everything at me. He was like,
that was in the dark as well, pitch black. I remember
it. My fake casual came in with I think a tourniquet on the leg and a protruded abdomen. The next thing he's like, right, we got IDF, the casualty's on floor. Then he's got his chest compressions. No, he's forgot what it's called now. Anyway,
There's a shock.
Edit that one out. Anyway,
yes.
Palpating the chest. There you go. He was throwing all sorts at me, and then I kept them going. And they never stopped the scenario, and he just said, "You know what? End it there." This is about 45 minutes of just pure sweating, thinking I failed this about 20 minutes ago. And I was on a stag. And you come from the comms, didn't you? And I was like, shut up. Yeah, I'm like, shut up. I'm like, shut up, yeah. I don't believe you. And I did. I started crying. It was probably not the first time he's made me cry.
So your time at Freemed, how was your time at Freemed?
Yeah, probably some of the best parts of my army career.
And is this where you deployed to the likes of Cyprus, Holland?
Yeah, Cyprus. No, I was at another unit at Cyprus, but Afghan, Holland, Kenya, Freemed, but not that the early days of Freemed when we turned up. The 2nd of December.
Can you remember the time? I'll let you say this story, or else we can tell this together, about the time where the boy come running out towards me with a knife. Can you remember that night?
Yeah, that wow, yeah. No,
You remember that?
I remember it a bit. I just remember in block 40, the old block.
No, it was in Slam.
Yeah, but no, but this what I
Oh,
remember being in. I think it was your room. We were drinking vodka. We were drinking lots of alcohol, and it was a block 40 party. And I just remember the last thing I remember being is in that. No, I remember being in your room or a room downstairs, and someone came running up to you because you were fire NCO.
Oh, because you set the fire extinguisher off.
I went set a fire extinguisher off.
Hey, you're nearly out in folk.
And you what? Right, no, I'm sick of this, gone down. I just remember everyone running to you, and I'm sat there in this room still drinking. And literally within the blink of an eye, I just remember you it was another lad banging on the window. And I just like sort of come to. I'm like, where am I? I'm in the other block on the other side of camp. Now, on the third floor, sat in a room, not having a clue how I got there. Mind you, this is just alcohol, and this was probably about 8 o'clock in the evening. And Joe stood there against the wall. This lad's got
That's not what happened.
That is what happened. That's what I remember.
Nah, so we were in Slam, in the common room of Slam, and then the boy come running towards me with a hand with the blade, and he's hit my chest with it.
Oh, see,
I'm thinking, and I thought it was the blade getting into me. And then the boys ran out, and then you've chased them all the way down the stairs.
I remember fuzzy.
And then I remember coming out the block, and there's blue lights everywhere. I've never seen so much police and ambulance, and I was like, what has happened? What's Ash done to this boy?
Wow.
But we'll not go into what happened. But that was another mad night at Block Wolf.
That was could have ended.
You remember your
fatalities that night?
Can you remember your first day at Freemed? At really early in the morning, we turned up. Tell the viewers what happened.
So
this was a great stitch up.
We turned up. So me and Joe turned up to Freemed. This is on a Friday evening, right? Mind you, I'm from Preston. Well, originally Manchester, but I was living in Preston anyway. And we got to Preston. The officers and the seniors that drove us to Preston said, right, you two sort that minibus, we're going now, see you later. And we're like, what? So the corporal of the stores, wasn't he, at the time, came and met us, told us where to put this minibus. Well, I didn't have a licence at the time, so I was youngie. He had a licence for 7 years, but never driven. Yeah, and he was asking me how to reverse a minibus. I'm like, mate, I've never driven a minibus, let alone got a licence. So yeah, we got... So this corporal came and met us, he told us where to park it. He said, right, unfortunately, we've not got beds for your rooms, but your rooms are in a block over there. But we'll put you in these rooms here, in Slam Block. You can be in there for 2 weeks. Well, we got given these rooms, we're like, wow. We're like going from a 6-man room to like being on our own in the big bad world. Like, what are we gonna do? Well, we decided to go out.
What I was getting at is the morning.
This is the thing. This is the thing. So we had a few mates in Preston at the time. Well, me and Joe went out, but I asked a lad, if he could put my flashes on my sleeves for me, because I was just too worried about getting pissed. This on the Friday. Well, I never bothered checking my kit. He ironed it all, got it on a peg and everything for me. So come Sunday, I'm like buzzing. We were still out on the bevy, weren't we? All weekend.
And crowning yourself,
yeah. Come Monday morning, first day in work, we was in work for 2 weeks. You usually get relocation leave, but because we got to our unit so close to Christmas, we took our relocation on the back end of Christmas. So it was a 4:30 start, unfortunately, because we had briefings, didn't we, up in James Cook. Well, I'm there in my uniform, got my smock on and everything, like, get to James Cook Hospital, sat in this like big university student conference thing, take my smock off, it's too hot. And I don't know who it was, I don't know who noticed, did they? Someone started looking at it and then everyone just looked at me, because everyone must have known. I'm sat there like, yeah, I'm a big boy, are we now, man? I'm going to work in James Cook and saves lives. Not only that, the lad that sorted my shirt out, he put my flashes on the wrong arms, but upside down as well. Not only just wonder-webbed them on, he sewn them on by hand as well. So I had to sit there all day with my smock on, melting, because otherwise I'll look like a right tool.
So you remember being on row 1 at Warcop, and we're in the back of an SV, and there's a massive traffic build up on the A66, and I've just heard you shouting, "Joe, get out, we need to go," and there's a corporal telling us nobody's going anywhere, yous two aren't going anywhere.
Aye, yeah.
So what was happening then?
Well, we were on exercise in Walcott, and we were leaving the training area. The camp was come out train area on it and take a left downhill, and it was just up the road. We were going back to get refreshed and showered and that, because we'd just come off the field. And I just remember sat there in the front of this SV, traffic's right in front of us. It was the A5, innit?
No, the A66.
A66, that's it. And I'm looking down, what was this traffic? And as I look down to the left, I'm looking up, because the SVs are quite high.
So I'm in a vehicle behind him, I'm in another vehicle behind him, so I can't see the road.
Yeah. So you can see the other side of the road was clear, so I'm like, there's got to have been somewhere to look, then you can see a commotion at the bottom. So I'm like, the corporal that sat next to me, and said, look, we were only privates at the time, I said, look, there's been an accident down there, mate, we need to go. No, you're not going nowhere, I said, look, there's no blue lights. I said, we've got 3 SVs here full of fully trained combat medics. I said, we need to go and help. No. I'm like, right, no, I ain't listening to you, because actually we had trained EMTs as well, didn't we? There was a couple of EMTs. So like, right, no, I ain't listening to you. So I shouted Youngie, shouted another lad, another one of our mates. There was quite a few of us that went down. But on that, we had a lot of new recruits that have just come out of phase 2 and straight onto the exercise area. So these are straight from training, straight on their first exercise. They've not been home, they've not seen the family, and so they're with us. So we've gone running down that way. I've gone pelting it down this road, and yeah, unfortunately it was.
So what were you faced with when you're running down that road?
Well, I'm running like the crumpets. I'm like, where's everyone else? I'm like, I'm not turning up to this on my own, because we didn't know what was going to turn.
So what had happened?
Like,
there was an RTC, so a road traffic collision, where it was a head-on-head with 2 vehicles. So Ashley, being the fit young man with the 6-pack, is well in front of me at this point. We had another couple of boys running down with us, but obviously Ashley got there first. Now, shouldn't laugh, because
no,
it didn't end well, but at the time there's a guy complaining of pain.
No, don't skip the important thing out first.
There's a woman in the car, and she's actually trapped in the car with the clutch through her leg. So Ashley has ran up to that casualty, identified that she's a worse casualty, and then went over to the guy who was complaining of a sore soldier. No soldier.
Soldier.
Shoulda. So he's went to the guy and started doing C-spine immobilisation on him. Getting him to lie down, keeping his head still, where there's a woman in with serious injury. So what was your decision making going through that?
Well, I've got up to the car, and like Joe said, it was quite serious. And I remember looking down and seeing, the legs, and the other lad that was with us, he's got round, and he's jumped in and got round the headline, and this didn't quite happen like you said, make it out. You're still running down the hill, you mate. So I was
trying.
We've got there, and the lad that was with me was an EMT, and he's checking for a pulse. I'm checking for a radial pulse, and I couldn't find anything. He couldn't really feel across it, and we couldn't open the doors. We was trying to open the doors dead quick, and we couldn't. And then we heard someone else shouting, "We've got one here! We've got one here!" So the EMT that was with us, obviously he's more qualified than me anyway, and he was in the car, so it was quicker me running. So by the time I've left and got to this person here, everyone else has come down the hill. Well, I've got to this person here, and he's up on this hill, and it's like my neck, my shoulder, and my hip. Well, I thought he's gone through the window screen, and it's only when I've got him into a comfortable position and I started spocking him. I've looked and I'm like looking at his car. His front of his car was mangled, but he was in a Volvo. And it was only the witnesses that said, "Oh, he got out of his car and walked over and walked on here." So I'm there like that. Yeah, and I'm once you start it until like emergency services turn up, you can't move. So I'm there. Everyone else is getting all this action, and there's sitting there like the air ambulance is coming and attending to the more serious one. Yeah, I'm still led there chatting to this guy about his 9-year-old like grandkids playing football, and I'm watching everyone else getting all this experience. And I'm like, yeah, really messed up there. Like.
No. I must emphasise that that could be an important part of the casualties care for later on down the line.
He would have got bored if he was there on his own any longer.
So, when you were at Freemed, you fell in love with a girl called Becky, and this didn't end so well because I remember being on an exercise and you went. Did you return to camp?
It was about 5 years later. Yeah, we was with each other for a good few years. It was a good relationship. Obviously.
She was class. I got on really well with Becky. So
we had our own flat and that. Yeah, we used to have parties like blood boys and that. So I met so she knew everyone and she had the banter. Better banter than us, to be honest.
She was one of the boys, wasn't she?
I think that's where Joe got most of his banter from. So I'm still trying to learn. But
so
yeah, she was.
One time you so how long were you with her?
I think nearly 6 years, because I got posted away. And when I got posted away, I didn't want to get posted away. But when I was posted away, I was at another unit down south, and this is where I went Cyprus, deployed to Cyprus and everything.
So how long were you at? 6 years?
6 years, yeah. And it's when I came back, cause I had to come back up to Freemed for compassionate reasons due to my son. And I think I was up here for 2 weeks, and we went on exercise. And we was in walk up again, unfortunately, wasn't it? And I think we was in the accommodation.
I remember because you went back to collect something for camp, but you're not home. And when you come back onto the exercise, now us two wind each other up all the time, but I knew straight away by your face that something serious had happened. And what you told me was you were in the house and you'd found a note that for another man to Becky saying that he loved her and can't wait to be with her.
Yeah, and I nipped to the flat. Yeah, because like I said, I had to come off exercise because, like I said, I got to Preston uncompassionate about my son. And something happened, so I thought before I went up, because I did come back and then I was going back on the exercise area because I wanted to get out there, because at the time I loved it all, and I loved it, every bit of it. And I nipped home, and then I seen some flowers and a card, like a gift card. And I quickly looked, I thought it'd be one of my mates, and I thought I'll just be nosy and look at the card, and I read it, I'm like, wow. So I just kept it to myself. I didn't say anything. I got the transport back up to Walcop, and I walked into my accommodation because we was in the barn, weren't we? The little huts in there, and then obviously when you looked at me and seen you was obviously like, what's going on here? And I stayed quiet for a bit, and then I messaged her, and that's when I got the text message.
The
back.
Dear John.
The Dear John.
The Dear John.
I generally got Dear John for an exercise.
So another time at Freemed, we ended up going to university. How did us two end up at university? How has that happened?
Still to this day, I ask myself that, and I say to everyone, look, I'm the first person in my family that I know of that's gone to university. I didn't come out there any cleverer than what I went. But I'm the first person that has gone to uni.
Can you remember the army gave us, I think it was like £350 in that card?
Wow, me and you.
We found out we could spend it at the bar. Oh, that was a disaster.
Boys, when we got told we were going, I was like, oh, Yes. And that's how I just started driving, so you just got your car as well.
£350 a month the Army put on a card for us to spend for food and drink. And
we accommodation there, mind you, we both stayed in Preston, thought I had a flat, and you had the room at camp, but I had the room on camp as well. But we decided to stay at the university.
Oh.
It's like, it's only 20 minutes up the road from Preston, but wow. Yeah, when they gave us that card, they said, you got 350 quid to last you 3 weeks. But these 3 weeks were split. So you had 2 weeks, and then it was like 3 months on it.
Nah,
or something like that, and then you go back for a week.
First week, £350 gone in that card. There was lectures that we weren't even turning up to because we were that rough. Oh,
it's the thing, you can go to you can do all your lectures, go and get your tea. But as you're getting your tea, you can get bottles of beer.
Like, can you remember the time?
Yes.
You remember the time I came in late because I didn't get up in time, and then I deliver a presentation and I had nothing wrote down.
Because we was in a group, weren't we? We had a group.
And they're like, right, you're up first, and I was like, what's this presentation on?
We went out, and I think I came back earlier, didn't I? Or did I? I don't know if I went out or went home. But there was a group of us, and we've all done this presentation. Well, yeah, Joe being Joe. So once he has some of this, he's a different person. But yeah, we're there, and we've got up, and we're like, oh my god, I'm messing. I'm like, where are you? And he turned up just at the right time, not knowing what we were on about. He got asked one question by this paramedic instructor, and this instructor is a really intelligent bloke. And then the rest of us just stood there. Well, Joe just spilled this whole waffle for 15 minutes, not knowing what he was on about. Yeah, so
absolutely cuffed it, man.
It off. His whole 12 years in the army so far, he is cuffed. I don't even think he's going to wake up one day and think, how have I done 22 years in the army? I don't have a clue what I've done yesterday.
Can you remember the time I was stood in front of the full class and asked you a question? Can you remember what that question was?
You didn't stand up. I remember it like it was yesterday, right? Because I'd never seen any of this on social media or anything, right? So I remember I was rough as well. We was drinking every day. But I'm there, and I just, Joe being Joe, likes to, just come out. He'll ask you the most random question. He won't even know what the answer is to it, but he will make you go red in the face, and then he'll turn around to you and say, I don't know it myself. But on this particular morning, so come in on computers and laptops as well. Youngie sat right behind me. No, I was late. This time. I was late, about 10 minutes late, and I didn't know anything. So I've come in, sat there, logged in, and that, and then he's there behind me. Greener, if you're travelling at 80 miles an hour for 80 miles, how long is it going to take you? Me straight away, I just thought, boom, yes, I've got him. 80 minutes. And the sheer just smile on his face, I just turned around and went, the whole class has laughed, and I thought, oh my god, it's an hour, isn't it? But before I could even turn around, he's just crying, the whole class, and he's filmed it, and he's still got it to this day, and he sends it me every now and again.
The uni days, imagine us going to university.
Mate, the minute we got accepted into university to do a level 4, I was just like, I don't even know how I'd become a medic, let alone going to uni to further my career. And this level 4, if we was to do it in Civvy Street, right, me and him would, he already is a qualified EMT, but if we was to do it in Civvy Street, I'd have been an EMT too, but the army like to throw these certain tests into the mix. Well, this one test, because the university say this ain't one of ours, we just give you assignments and send you out on placements. Well, the army put this test in the mix here. Fortunately, another night, we went out the night before. I finished this test 45 minutes before the information had been finished, and I sat there and I'm like, Youngie's still writing. It's like this. Nah, I've done something wrong here, but I'm like,
I'm on question 2. You're awful.
I've finished like 4 pages of waffle and everything. And I'm like, there's no way I'll finish this 45 minutes. Well, yeah, unfortunately, 6 weeks later, you get told you failed massively. I think, I don't even think they understood what I was talking about on them exams. But yeah, I failed it. But if I did it on Civvy Street, I'd have my level 4.
So, let's get into the serious stuff now. So you mentioned about your best friend being in the army, you going through training, Lance. Tell us a wee bit about Lance.
So we met in school. So I was new to Forward High. I think I came into Forward High year 8 or year 9, and Lance was there. And when you start a new school, because I got kicked out of a school. And then
Backlashed or kicked out?
No,
backlashed.
Kicked out a few schools because I weren't.
Were you rough around the edges?
I got into the easy crowd. I was easily led, and I was too fist happy. And yeah, I didn't like people walking all over me, so I got kicked out for a few. But when I went to this particular school, and that's where I finished my school career, I didn't know him. I seen him in school and he was hanging out with all the lads that you're like, oh yeah, I need to get in that crowd and that. And you end up with all fucking dorks and that. But it's when I went to cadets, I was speaking about all these lads that pissed out of me in school. I walked into cadets and they're all stood there in uniform and they're in tracksuit, and I just remember walking in and just went laughed at every single one, like so I'm like, yes, they take the piss out of me now. And from that day on, we became best mates. And I don't know what it was, we were joined by the hip, literally from the age of 12, 13. We was inseparable. He stayed at mine, my mum was his mum. I stayed at his mum and dad were like my mum and dad, his sister was like my sister. We were just, back and forwards. And then when I moved to Manchester for a while, because I got a bit of trouble, and then from Manchester to Scotland, when we left school, because I more or less went not long after leaving school, he got accepted into the army because we both went to the careers officers together. But his dad was already in the army, so that was the career he was taking anyway. So we lost contact for a while because obviously he's done all his training, and then I was still in Edinburgh. Found out, and then I moved back from Edinburgh to Preston. Started contact again. By then he was married, living in Cyprus. He had everything going for him, but he used to come back and bring 3 litres, a bottle of vodka and all sorts, and we used to get absolutely steaming. We used to get drunk and just hit it off like you do. We don't see each other for months, a year, and just it's like you've never been apart. And his army career, we lost contact again because then I had kids, and then my life went different ways, and his life, you just drift apart for a bit. And then where was it? I didn't see each other until I was already in the army. I joined the army. He knew I was in the army, but we didn't see much. I seen him, I think, when I was with Becky a couple of times, but by then he was going through a lot of demons himself. He was a 2 Lancs lad. He's done the Iraq and Afghan. Like you don't really talk about stuff like that. I never knew what he'd gone through. And I remember it's after I got married, and I lived at the back of camp, and I was just driving at the back of camp, and I seen him and I was like, oh, that's Lance. And I had the wife in the car at the time. I'm like, wow, she went, who's that? And I just stopped. I got in the middle of the road, I'm like, wow. I seen him, and then just from there, just like, just hit off again, like nothing. And I didn't know how bad he really was, and he was staying in that hostel just down the road in Forward, and he was walking at the back of camp up to his mum and dad's. They just lived on their new estate further up, and that's the route he used to take. And we were just chatting, and found everything out that he's gone through and that, and it was at that time when we started talking, I was going through a bit of stuff myself, but I also got back there because I still enjoyed the job. I've gone through a lot of stuff anyway. At the back, I've never even Joe never knew. It's just something that always kept at the back of my head because I enjoyed the career. I'm like, I don't want to get kicked out of the army. This is my life. I wanted to do a full career. And I was talking to Lance and that, and he was like, you need to go. You need to see. I'm like, nah, and I used to compare a lot of my stuff to his stories, and I've got a few other mates that have done time and retired and that. And I'm like, yeah, it's what I've gone through. You compare, don't you? Like, you know what men like, mine's bigger than yours, so you compare, like, mine's nothing compared to what that's gone through. But you don't realise that time, and that's how things can start. Just something so minor, like, went in the bed, can turn to ending your career. And
so, what was the outcome with Lance?
So, yeah, he'd go from this, like, sheltered care hostel place and get his own flat. And, just carried on seeing each other. When I was with the ex-wife, we weren't married at the time, I was in him, because when we was getting married, I wanted him to be my best man. I asked you, best man.
Both of you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was both of you. Obviously, being my best mate through all my career, just hit off like house on fire, and someone that I've known since school. Yeah, but we were married, but we had a register marriage. This was a proper wedding, so all the family and everything, because we got married quickly to get a pad's house, because it was cheaper than what we was paying in Morecambe at the time. And I just remember on the wedding day, it was the morning, and he stood there putting cuffs on us, and he's looking at me, he's like, kid drinking, he's like, you do know you don't have to do this, Greeny. Like, come with me, we can get a taxi, we can go. No one likes him anyway, mate. I'm like, Ants, I'm already married to her, this is just for everyone else. This is like money that she's just wasted on everyone else. Is like, oh yeah, unlucky for you. And yeah, it was a good day. Like, the speech was, as you know, it was something else.
That was me that done the speech.
His speech as well. Yours, yeah. Wow. Yeah, your speech was.
Yeah. So what then? What happened with Lance?
So in a way, I blamed myself for so long. But obviously, the wedding night, he rang up and bought a tab on my room, knowing that I didn't have a lot of money at the time anyway, and the wedding cost thousands, and it was something I couldn't really afford. And I used to like ring him up every week, mate, you need to sort of pay this bill. He would ignore me. I'm like, oh, there's something not right here. And I remember going round, and he weren't answering the door. His mum didn't know where he was, his sister didn't know. I ended up kicking his flat door in, and I remember seeing him sat there on his own, because I used to go around and smoke weed and everything. I used to go around and sit and chill with him in his flat anyway. We'll have computer games, we'll play on like computer and watch films. But yeah, I kicked his door in and I've gone into his flat. He won't let me turn the lights on. He was sat on his chair on his own, tears. Mind you, I've gone round a few times and had to stitch him up where he's cut himself 2-3 o'clock in the morning before. I'm like, mate. This one particular time, he was quite bad, and he was telling me not to sell his mum. And at the back of my head, I'm like, no, I can't, it's my best mate. So how can I betray his trust? And I stayed with him. This was like 4 or 5 hours. And I'm like, look, mate, I need to go, I need to sort stuff out. I'll be back. Don't do nothing. And I remember as soon as I left this flat, I was brought down in tears. Rang his mum straight away. It's like seeing someone that you know yourself, you met him, like going from what he was to seeing him in that flat was like. So yeah, I rang his mum, told her everything, and she was asking questions. Is he still doing this? Is he still doing that? And I seen certain paraphernalia, like, yeah. So we ended up, she asked me what she wanted, she thought was best, and we ended up getting him sectioned. There's like a choice between me and his mum there on the phone. This was on a Thursday, I think it was, and I remember Saturday he was meant to be getting sectioned. I've gone round to see him before he went, and that he was dead chirpy. He's like, yeah. His mum and dad were there, had a brew and everything, and then he was like, oh, there's my Xbox. Like, look after it, I'll be out in a few weeks. make sure you look after it. Brand new, he played on it like twice, but he used to play on it. I was like, right, and that was Saturday. He got sectioned Sunday, and Monday night he rang me up about an hour and a half on the phone, just waffling about stuff we did as kids, right the way up. And at the time you don't think of it. And he said, right, I've got to go, Greeny, I've got to go. Well, he used to call me Wiener. Wiener, I've got to go, I've got to speak to my mum and dad. I was like, right, yeah, no worries. And I remember, yeah, it was a Tuesday morning, and I was on my way to the armoury doing weapon checks because I was the SQs at the time, and his sister rang me up, and she just said he's done it. Well, I just knew straight away.
How did he do it?
So, he got sectioned the Sunday, spoke to us Monday night. The shift changed Tuesday morning. He was suicidal. He had a minute watch outside his door. Every 60 seconds someone had to walk through his window. And when the shift changed, I don't think his notes got passed over, and he got his belongings given to him, and he used to strap off his bag, and he did it. And yeah, that was Tuesday. I got that phone call, and mind you, this is the army. You know yourself, and I know another lad. If it's not immediate family, they will not let you leave that camp unless you've got leave. And I was on the point. This is when I knew my head was going. So I was still a medic in 12 Squadron, but I was moving to 18 Squadron SQs. That was something I was doing myself, trying to do under the radar, trying to avoid all the medical stuff, because I knew I couldn't cope with it, and I knew myself, my head wouldn't cope with it. So I went and seen 12 Squadron Sergeant Major. I just walked straight into the sergeant's mess. Literally, this is at quarter to 10, right before naffy time. I walked straight through everyone, and I just said, "Where's Sergeant Major?" And he said, "He's there." And I said, "Look, sir, can I have a word?" And he sat me outside, and I just burst out in tears, gave me a fag, and he said, "Go." I said, "You go and do whatever you need to do." And I remember I left, I just went home, and then by Wednesday morning I was there at the hospital by his side with his mum, his dad and his sister, and I was there every day, all day, every day till the Thursday, and he was there in intensive care, brain dead, and his mum and dad obviously asked if it was just them going to go and see him on the Friday to say the goodbyes, because they wanted to donate his organs and that, because he was brain dead. So I was like, right, I said my goodbyes and everything else. It's your best mate. He was like a brother. He weren't just the best mate, he was my brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I said my goodbyes, and they turned his life support off on a Saturday, hoping he'd pass so they can donate his organs, and he held on until the day after, which turned out to be Father's Day, and he passed away that morning. He stayed on until his mum and dad got there to see him, and then he passed away.
This is one of the big reasons why I want to do this podcast, because mental health is such a real thing, and there's so many people, as in people suffering it, try and turn a blind eye to it themselves and try and convince themselves that they're no suffering. So the more people we can get speaking, the better this is going to be. So we deployed on an operational tour to Afghanistan. What do you remember on the day of October the 24th, 2012?
I remember being on a patrol, yeah. We was on I think it was on an op. It's quite a big one. Well, for where I was anyway, I was in Nadi Ali at the time. And I remember coming off this patrol. And as soon as I come off, I got off the vehicle, because I was with the Mercians at the time. I was with SEALs TAC and the Mastiff group, at the time, there was only me and another medic. She was a class 1, I was a class 2. But we was on a fob. It was an MO, class 1, and me. And we had 400 odds, plus American civilians. So we was stretched. So we was taking it. We was on 4 or 5 patrols a day, foot patrols, vehicle patrols, just taking it in turns. I was doing a class 1's job, because when you deploy, you know yourself. We went as class 2s, but if the doctor deems you competent, and he'll ask you questions and test you on things, you can go out and do a class 1's job because you've been signed off by that doctor. So a lot of times you couldn't. A lot of the infantry lads only wanted class 1 medics because they know they're more advanced. But I remember coming off this patrol, and I just got met. As soon as I got off the vehicle park and walked to the med centre, before I even put my Bergen down, I knew anyway through comms there was contact and we had casualties through this like this op. But overall, you hear it anyway on all the comms and everything. You always hear things. So I've got to the med centre, and they had a medalo. He met me there and he said, "Can I have a quiet word with you?" So I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I don't know, because you have sort of a mad buzz, but then a weird come down, don't you, when you're coming off a patrol, because you know it's hostile, and then next thing you'll be getting shot at and all sorts, and then you're coming into like your fob, your checkpoint, or wherever you are, and you're like sort of coming down. So it's weird. You're sort of in your own little bubble. And yeah, the medalo met me and pulled me to one side and said, "We've lost someone." No, he said, "Unfortunately, we've had a casualty," and he said a name, and I don't know if I told you this, but no word, like, at first I thought he said it was you, and everything, I just like, what? And I thought I heard it, I'm like, oh my god. And then I heard chanting, I was like, oh. And still, it's no better anyway, it's just the sheer fear. I'm like, oh my god. And then it does, it sort of hits you, just think it's one of your own. Like, me and Channing were the last people to leave the flight plan from Bastion. Like, when you do your so how you get to Bastion, you do 3 days, 5 days, 6 days, depending wherever you're going. We were the last two. I was the last person from our unit, our regiment, to see it alive, because we was the last two on the same flight. And the last thing she said to me, she said, "Really," because she's done tours before, she's like, "Keep your head down and move fast." And I remember that forever, and that's the last thing she ever said to me. And then when that news come through, it wasn't nice. And we had another medic who was training the police. She was in a checkpoint further away from us, and she came up because she heard that we lost someone, and then I told her, and she, apparently they were really, really close mates through the Germany years and everything. Yeah, and it was, I think the way my doctor handled it at the time, the medalo, yeah, it was at the time, he said it was for my business interest, but a lot of us had the choice, and a lot of the unit was already in Bastion, and they got to say the farewells. I wanted to go back, and because we was close, she was a really good mate, and yeah, he wouldn't let me leave or anything. But yeah, that was someone that'll live with us for the rest of our lives. She was, yeah. She was a sister.
Yeah.
She was.
So, Corporal Channing Day was fatally wounded on a foot patrol by a Afghan policeman. I believe that the patrol was going forward to teach first aid to the Afghan National Army that day. Channing, along with one other in that patrol, were shot once each in the chest, and sadly passed. As a fellow medic to pass away in an operational tour that we were serving in was it sent shockwaves through the whole med team, med battalion, the med reg. And forever Channing will be remembered, and as Ash said there, that she was like the big sister. She was the vice that she gave to Ash, that's the same advice that I received. And the day that news broke, it was I just
A tough day for everyone, wasn't it?
it's different when it's one of your own, isn't it? When it's a medic, it's different. So in Afghanistan, you were talking about when we were talking about Lancet, the problems that you were suffering with and the struggles that you were having. So what happened to you? The event in Afghanistan, it's potentially changed your life forever.
Yeah, Remembrance Sunday. And I remember doing a parade. So we have a Remembrance parade and everything in the morning. It's just like Remembrance Sunday, and done a patrol, come back, and the camp I was on, shore cap, at the back, he had the Brigade Advisory Group, and it was another group of guys. They were teaching the A&A, and there was one. Like, I used to go play football every Sunday. They had their own medic. He was one of their own. He was attached to them, the Scots, and I was in the med centre, but every Sunday, and I'd go chill there anyway every day because they had their own welfare, and I got on with them all. Their officers accepted me as one of their own. I used to go and watch the training. They had their own little med centre there as well because they was teaching the A&A medics as well. We had a nurse from Free Med that was over there. And I got a lot of my experience from being over there because our med centre was mainly and we didn't have a lot of casualties in there. It was a lot of just non-battle injuries. So a lot of my experience came from that time because it was at that time when we deployed, we was encouraging the local, like the A&A and the police to fight, protect themselves. So they had a lot of casualties. So that's where I used to go and spend a lot of my time. And there was a particular officer, can we mention his name?
No.
But there's one particular officer who took me in, and come off this patrol, and I've gone over there because we've been fighting to play football, Hearts and Minds, with him, and playing football, and one of them it's just come out, an A&A soldier, because at the time that I didn't know the ins and outs because it's a different part of our camp, but we were joined. They was able to keep their own weapons and ammunition and everything, because this is a relationship that's been going on for years before we got there. It's what we wanted. It's a relationship where we can trust them to basically fight their own battles, protect their own people. And on this one particular day, one of them came out and just opened fire on us all. And everyone's running, obviously for cover and that, and I've welfare tent, got to this welfare tent, you've got your TV and everything. So protecting the camp I was at, the Brigade Advisory Route, it was an old fort, mud castle. But then at the side, to the A&A, it was just plastic black sheep chicken wire thing, so you can step over it, you can cut it, there's no protection there whatsoever. And this guy's come out and started shooting. You got your metal picks in the ground, holding his wires, real rounds getting stuck in there. This is people's accommodations right across this Hessian here, and the Hessian's only like that, and you got people's tents, all the kit and everything. And I remember the other medic ran into his. And I've gone to the welfare tent. I've got all my kit, and they're shouting medic, medic. Well, as soon as you hear that, it was in the evenings. I don't know. It seemed about 5-6 o'clock. I can't really put a time on it, but when you hear that word, you're just like, wow, everything it's like being on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The lights just go straight down and you just like, so you get this casualty. But when they say you need to win the firefight first, you see a man down. Unfortunately, the other medic, I heard a man down, and it was for the A&A guy that's opened fire, but we didn't know to say man down, and I've come running over and it's like, you need to get him. And as we've come running over to him, they've seen someone else running, so they're just dragging. I just got dragged by the guys, literally just got dragged by the guys with the casualty. I'm holding this casualty, and as I've looked up, it was the shooter, and yeah, you just, when you're looking down at him and you're like,
but we know that our job is to preserve life.
That's it.
It doesn't matter if it's good, bad.
No, it doesn't.
We've got to do our job.
Yeah, and no matter what goes through your head, you're there to help. That's why I wanted to join the Med Corps anyway. It's to help. Everyone deserves to live to a certain point, but like I said, we're there to preserve life, because you don't know what vital information this person may have on them in the person, that they can speak to you. And yeah, I just remember looking down and what felt like 10-15 minutes was a matter of seconds, and you're there trying your best to try and save him. And
did you come across the British soldier that was injured?
Yeah, I came across.
What was it that you seen?
It wasn't nice, no. Just someone that took you in, treat you as one of their own. Because I was only 23. No, I was 23, class 2 medic. I was only out the army, out of training 8-9 months prior to us going. We were generally meant to be the only 2 class 2 medics deploying to Afghan. So yeah, when you go through that, no training, and honestly, no matter what training you do in Keo barracks, your battles, the battles, they can make it as real as you want when you're faced with your first major casualty, and your ass is falling out, because you're like, wow, this is for real, this ain't simulated. I'm covered in another person's body parts here, and I've got to try and keep this person alive. Especially what I was met with the shooter. He died. I know with his injuries, even the mayor turned around to me and said what I did well to keep him alive till he got. I think they got 5 minutes away from Bastion and he passed away. Mm-hmm. With the injuries he sustained, and it was the guardian angel. So when you go from my camp to the brigade advisory camp, and that you go through and you've got their welfare tent and computer tent here, and then they've got a Hessian little stag bit, and that's their guardian angel. That guardian angel, I let out the tent, the D&V tent that morning for D&V. He was in with me for 4 hours. I let him out, and he's the one that saved everyone else's life, because we don't know where, because he could have gone from that camp into our camp. Mm-hmm. He could have spoke to all his muckers. They could have wiped all of us out. So what he did, and then obviously he handed the shoot over to Mert. Gone, because I see when I was faced with in my head, I'm like, no, I wanted to, because I knew afterwards, after I seen him, we got told another man down, and we're like, how? We've got the shooter. And because we've all ran off, we didn't know there was another person left on the football field. Mm-hmm. It's just stone yard, like a car park, and just put goals up. We didn't know there was another person there. And by the time I wanted to run over, they're like, no, you need to stay here with him, because the other medic that was with them, he was more advanced anyway, he was a class 1 medic. And it was only once he's gone, I've gone over and gotten the quad bike, and we've got to the med centre, and we've tried we've got him on the stretcher, the doctor's there, we've got 2 nurses there, 4 medics there, you got 3 class 2, so you got the MO, a nurse, 2 nurses, you had a staff sergeant nurse, a corporal nurse, and you had 2 class 1 medics, and then me, and the Scots medic. There was 7 of us, and then when you get told, obviously stand back, there's nothing else you can do. And you've got to wait for the RMPs then to come, and you've got to put this, obviously, someone that, just moving a lifeless body and things like that. It makes it, puts it in perspective.
How did that, as the months and years advanced, affect your mental health? You mentioned earlier about wetting the bed. What things did you start to notice?
Well, it was like smells. Smells is what used to trigger it off, and I used to think, because you go after, it's just a smell. All you can smell is burning shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, isn't it? If it's not ours, it's theirs. It's just pure burning shit. You go Africa, it smells the same. And I think it was after my first time I went Africa, and I was hit with that smell. And that's when it brought it all flooded back. Because I remember you've been Kenya, haven't you? And I'm like, I'm going, I can't wait. I'm like, yeah, and you're like, you're gonna hate it. I'm like, how can you hate it? Yeah, you spend 12 hours on the back of one of them trucks going over roads like that. And everyone else on the seats behind you get to see all the wildlife. All I seen was a baboon eating an antelope's ass sat on the tree. But that's when I started noticing things myself. I never told anyone, I've kept it all to myself, like most men do. And you think, medics, you think the army, your brothers and sisters you talk about. No, because you feel like someone out there's got more experience, and you look at it like,
you think you'll be judged straight away.
Straight away. You can't handle it, why are you in there? Well, I've done this, or I've seen that, and it's like, and it's only as you get further on in your army career, and you do, like obviously it was Lance, after what happened to Lance, I promised him, I went to see him in the mortuary, and I promised him when I seen him in the chapel arrest, that's when I said, I'm going to get help.
Mm-hmm.
And I promised him there, and as hard as it was, and as painful it cost me in my marriage, which there's no regrets anyway, so it's alright, but as hard as it is, it was a promise that I want to keep, and I'll still keep it to this day. I have relapses, say relapses, but some days I'm like, I'm up here. You don't even think about your mental health, you just think, oh yes, you don't even, it goes to the back of your head. But then you can see something, you can smell something, someone can say something.
Triggers it all.
And you are just like, from loving everyone, you're just wanting to get out your car and just cause havoc. Driving a station and stopping HCV driving, because I was getting, it was something I wanted to do when I got out of the army. That's what I thought. I thought, easy life, every squad does it. I was getting to the point where my stress and anxiety levels were getting that better of me being away from home. I was having a vision of me just fucking driving my truck straight through traffic. Literally, like people, I've slammed on the brakes in my truck before, the tanker, and got out and give people, gone mental, and I'm like, I can't do it, because it's not only not fair on them. Lose my licence, my life, my job, if I got arrested, lose everything, my kids, the lot. And I've about 6 jobs since I've left the army, but you just got to find the right things. People say, I joined when I was 21, so I already had that life experience, but 10.5 years of living a structured life, waking up, being told where to go, what to do, no matter how much time you spent out the army before you was in the army, it's hard. It is hard.
It's very difficult. Very difficult.
Definitely.
What advice would you offer to anybody out there struggling with mental health and feel that they can't speak to anybody?
Please just get help. It's hard as it is, and it is really hard. And I think if it weren't for my best mate doing what he did, I probably wouldn't be here myself. Probably wouldn't, because I kept it myself. I did try it. Tried it a couple of times in the woods. And my kids, my dog was that, I was using my dog's lead. and as I had it up, my kids, and the devastation, seeing what happened to me, his best mate, let alone his mum, his sister, his dad, his auntie. I thought, I can't do that to my family. I know for a fact my mum won't cope.
Yeah.
And I didn't want my kids growing up thinking I couldn't cope. I'd rather my kids see me struggle and still be here and be a father than not having me at all. I'd live in a cardboard box before I'll do that and leave my kids without a dad. Because they've what kept me going. Honestly, it's my kids that have kept me going. Because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be having this conversation now anyway.
So guys, anybody that's out there struggling, reach out. My inbox will always be open. I might not be able to solve your problems, but I can absolutely do what my grano's told me is share your problem. A problem shared is a problem halved, and I can point you in the right direction. Ashley, a pleasure sharing your story.
That is.
And if you don't know,
now you know.
that's my bit. Now you know. See you later.